Hello Transformers fans, this is another video review. This time I'm doing a review of Kabaya knockoff Metroplex. I bought a lot of these Kabaya knockoff figures from some friends on the TFW 2005 boards, and I love them. I just did a review for Trypticon, which I'll be doing a size comparison for here eventually. But of all of them, I think Metroplex is probably by far my favorite. I'm a giant Metroplex fan. I don't have the original one anymore, but I did as a kid. I plan on getting a reproduction one here eventually soon. But these are just awesome. You can tell the stickers aren't official, the stickers they come with, although it does come with a semi-accurate Autobot symbol if your accuracy is limited to small hand-drawn comic versions of the Autobot symbol. But they're really cool. As you can see, I've got Metroplex here in his robot mode, and he's pretty much accurate to the original one. They had to make a couple of small give-ups to make it fit this size. It's roughly about the size of two World's Smallest Transformers stacked, like top to bottom. But he's really cool. He has the little opening missile gimmick that the original one had, although obviously the missiles aren't painted. He has his guns that come off, and he has the other guns on the side. He has articulation at the arms, if I can get the gun back in here. So one of the problems that I have with these little knockoff guys is they don't have closed hands. You can kind of see it's just sort of a slit. So without some super glue, the guns don't necessarily want to stay in super straight or super well. But he's got arm movement. He's got leg movement, but the legs move together, and that's just kind of part of the way the figure's assembled. I think the original Metroplex was that way too, but don't quote me on that. And he does have side-to-side movement with the legs, which is pretty cool. And the legs do move side-to-side independently. And obviously the head doesn't rotate. There is some hip movement if you want to do that. Kind of see a quick shot of the back here. And there he is. And you can kind of see a close-up of the head sculpt if it'll focus in for me there. My camera just got some new software which is helping me do the actual focusing, which is really cool. He's a really neat figure. Kind of give you a scale comparison. I'll kind of put him next here. You can kind of see this is a Seeker. So his head's about the same size as a Seeker, maybe a little bit smaller. But when you see them standing next to each other, they're just, these guys are tiny. So he doesn't have an actual city mode, although I sort of like to pretend that he does. He really only transforms into his battle mode, which we see very occasionally on the cartoon. So to start that, you want to go ahead and take his guns off and remove his tower from the back. And then, of course, take his fists off, which is all accurate to the original release. Next thing you want to do is bend him at the legs and unfold the little leg tower pieces that come forward like that. And a lot of this transformation is kind of up to the user. I'm not really sure if there's an official transformation for how this was supposed to look, but I was pretty sure these are supposed to face forward so that you kind of have the arm laser cannon things facing forward. And then you can do a couple different things with the guns. Normally the legs have a kneecap here, which you could take off and put on there. The kneecaps on mine, when I was assembling the figures, they're basically model kits. The kneecaps on mine, I cut off the parts that fit into the little tabs, so they never stayed on very well. So I just decided to glue them into place in kneecaps because I knew that I was probably going to be displaying them in robot mode anyways. And the kneecaps don't add a whole lot, but if you wanted to put them on, they go here and here on the little slots. You can take the back and reattach it for this mode, I guess, if you really wanted to, so that you can have the gun sticking up here in the back, kind of like it was in robot mode. Then you can position the guns however you want. There's holes here and here for the bigger guns. Put those in there. I'm sure you're hearing my cat in the background making wonderful kitty noises. And pop some guns in on either side of the arms. and you've got his battle mode, which is kind of lame. I was never a big fan of the battle mode of the original figure, but it has it. If you want to kind of do a city mode, you can mostly do it. The arms don't rotate. This arm on the right side doesn't rotate to the back like you did on the original figure, but you can sort of approximate most of the transformation. You can flip the tower up there like that. You can take the legs and split them out to the side. You can collapse the arms down on both sides. I made this comment on the Trypticon review, but these figures are basically model kits, and the parts will come on and off depending. So it's probably best to use super glue when you're putting them together. The tower piece opens, and it kind of has, a little slot in there, but nothing's actually in it, so it doesn't fold down the full road like the original figure had. And then if you really wanted to, the shoulder piece here has a cool little gimmick that's really hard to get going, but you can flip the shoulder around and voila, you have a shoulder cannon, which I always have trouble getting on my knockoff to get to stand up straight, but you kind of get the basic effect there. So there's the not quite city mode, but you can kind of pretend that it is. He's obviously the best in robot mode. You can put the guns in the same places as they were in the battle mode. You can put this up here so you kind of have like a big turret going on. You can really put these however you want. That way it looks like he has more towers going on like he did in the movie. So size comparison in this mode, I'll bring in Trypticon to kind of come stand next to him so you can kind of see how they are in scale with each other. I think that's fairly accurate for the G1. I think Trypticon was a little bit smaller than Metroplex was, but I'm not 100% on that. And then here he is standing next to an original Seeker, which obviously I have to pan up so you can see the whole thing. These guys are really tiny. If you were pretty slick with paint and doing your customization stuff, you could probably paint this guy into a really neat smallest Transformers Metroplex, which I think would be pretty cool. I'm practicing with my paint, but I haven't quite got there yet. But I plan to, if I ever get better with my painting skills, I definitely plan to paint these guys up to look more G1 accurate. But there is Kabaya knockoff G1 Metroplex.